segment, my best friend, my security guy, my travel buddy, Mike Needham, will get his take on this football game. We'll give you a little tidbit. He attended the press conference yesterday, and as always, they're very straightforward, but yet entertaining. I'll tell you about really getting after some of the workers here that they love the Atlanta Falcons. One in itself. North Carolina A&T and Alcorn State. I think I've gotten over it somewhat. Southern University not being here, but I must tell you, as I got into the stadium, I thought about, wow, man, Southern University was one step away. 17 years in a row, but it's not about Southern University today. It's about Alcorn State University. They got it done in the row, years back. Some redemption against North Carolina A&T. And let me just tell you this. North Carolina A&T, to me, the players, they're like their coach, Coach Washington. They're very confident. Very confident that they can answer questions straightforward. And they feel like they're going to get it done. They're going to get it done today. Now, Alcorn State, they talk about the disappointment from last year. Now getting the chance to come back and have some redemption. So with that being said, at 11 o'clock Central Standard Time, a little bit after 11 o'clock, a little bit after 12 noon, 12:06, 11:06, depending on what time zone it is, they'll get it on. Now, we have been hearing talk about a crowd, maybe 20 to 30,000, 28,000 is the number that they heard.
Starting point guard, I got cut. All my friends made the team though, but I had FOMO all season. Son, I'm so sorry. You know, I've been in this before. Yeah, I used to miss all my favorite games. I had so much FOMO too. But then I switched to DirecTV, and they also gave me this season of NBA League Pass. Now I can watch the NBA wherever, whenever I want. So, how does it work? TV without NBA League Pass is just kinda TV. Switch today and find out how DirecTV will give you this season of NBA League Pass. No, just kinda TV. DirecTV. Out of market control with blackout no supply. Restrictions apply. Call 1-800-DirecTV.
They're going to try to run the football. Can Alcorn State get a better performance? And can they force A&T, to me, to be one-dimensional, force them to throw the balls to have to win?
Coach Walsh and the players sound very confident yesterday that they'll be able to run the football and get it done. Coach Washington had a lot of accolades for Alcorn State. Fred McNair had a lot of things good to say about A&T and Coach Washington. So they're going to get it on. They're going to get it on in a couple hours. I'll take a first time out of today's show. Take a minute break, 2-minute break, something like that. And when we come back, I'll be joined by a guest. And I'll tell you when we get back who that guest is going to be. You're listening to the Carlos Brown Show, broadcasting live from the 2019 Celebration Bowl in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia, on the Open Mic Broadcast Network and Spreaker.com. I'll be right back.
Each team starts their journey on.
Broadcasters come into our lives on radio and TV, bringing us information and entertainment. Broadcasters are there for us, but who is there for them when they fall on hard times? The Broadcasters Foundation of America provides financial assistance to broadcasters in acute need due to a critical illness, accident, or other serious misfortune. If you know of a broadcaster on the air or behind the scenes who may need our help, please share our message. Visit broadcastersfoundation.org.
Each team starts their journey on separate roads, but they all converge to one road to the championship. There will be revenge and redemption. There'll be an Aggie and Eagle standoff. There'll be Bulldogs and Bears colliding with Tigers and Spartans. Hornets fighting off Bison and Wildcats rattling the Rattlers. The road has twists and turns. And when it ends, one thing is certain. Only one team will claim the title. MEAC champion.
The birth of legends are storied in this conference. We must never forget our rich history. We now turn our gaze to the future. The new legends will emerge. New heroes to arise. The Southwestern Athletic Conference. Be our history.
Are you one of the many Americans that deal with the effects of diabetes? Diva Skin Conditioner could be the remedy that you need. Diva Skin Conditioner is a formulation that was designed with you in mind. Diva Skin Conditioner comes with a money-back guarantee. That's how confident they are in their product. For more information, visit divafeet.com. That's D-I-V-A-H, feet.com. Or you can speak with a representative by dialing 903-270-0026.
Welcome back to this week's edition of the Carlos Brown Show, heard exclusively right here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network and Spreaker.com. I want to thank Boo Boo's Barbecue and Catering. Get some in your lips. A great sponsor to help get me here to Atlanta, Georgia. Boo Boo's Barbecue and Catering. Get some in your lips. Now, some of the side orders you can get: potato salad, brisket, beef ribs, chicken. Oh boy, I'm getting hungry now. Macaroni and cheese. Oh my goodness. But DeMarcus Miller, former football player at Southern University, now in the barbecue and catering business. Remember the name, Boo Boo's Barbecue and Catering. Get some in your lips. You can call area code 281-317-0170 or 832-528-6445 to order. Thanks to Boo Boo's Barbecue and Catering that helped make this broadcast possible. today. Now I'm going to be engineer on site, and let me see. I'm gonna have two guests, and let's introduce them. One is Michael Elam, and do we have Charles Edmond?
Yes, sir. I'm here. Good morning.
Do we have Michael Elam?
Yes. Good morning, Carlos.
Okay. I think everything sounds well. I do believe producer Michael Prince back in studio. We're broadcasting live from the Celebration Bowl right here in Atlanta, Georgia, Mercedes-Benz Stadium. And it is a big ball game that's going to happen today. Alcorn State University in North Carolina A&T. Michael, what do you think about this matchup? A repeat of last year's game.
Well, after listening to both teams at the press conference yesterday, they both are confident. Both teams are ready to play. I think the keys for Alcorn is to attack with the passing game and mix and run in and minimize turnovers. And the key for A&T is to run the ball. That's their strength. And if they can do that well, they have a chance. But if Alcorn can shut them down, then I think the Braves, will come out on top. And the intangible, I think, for me, would be the special teams, punt returns, kickoff returns, block punt or block kick, et cetera. So I'm excited. To me, it's really a toss-up. I don't, to me, they about even.
You're not gonna say it's a pick-em game, huh?
Yeah, it probably is. You know what I'm saying? I don't see no, I think they're about even, to be honest, But I like the players. They are very confident. Those guys were ready to play yesterday. They had it, and they speak, as they spoke. They're very articulate about their program, how the brotherhood amongst themselves, and they're very respectful young men. I was very impressed with that. So I'm excited, man. I'm 51, and I was ready to suit up, man.
My goodness.
After that press conference. and the coaches, I think, Coach McNair has done a great job with Alcorn. He's, won the SWAC the last couple of years, and he's been here the last couple of years, and those guys, they gave homage to him and the assistant coaches, and how they prepare for this game. And the same with A&T. They say they make chicken. They keep things simple. That's the term they use, and they gave a lot of homage to Coach Washington. So I'm excited, Carlos. A couple of hours we'll see who will get the victory. Will it be Alcorn? Will it be A&T?
I'm just going to be a spectator and watch. No prediction from me. Charles, good morning to you.
Good morning. Good morning.
You doing okay? You fired up, huh?
I'm in a cerebral place right now. I'm kind of in a chill mode right now. Everything's set up. We are ready to go, and this being on your show kind of gets the juices flowing for real. I mean, this game is at 11 a.m. Central Time, so the team they eat their pregame meal 4 hours before. So they're eating, I don't know if they're eating breakfast or I don't know if they're eating their regular pregame.
Not a brunch, huh? No, just breakfast.
I don't know, but this is something, you've been here before, so we know what to expect, but it is different. I mean, to have an early game, the first game of the bowl season. And, some of our fans have been texting saying that they're nervous and all that. We've done everything but win this game. We've been here, we've done it, but we haven't won it. And, A&T's been here and done that, and they've won it. But this team with 26 seniors, a veteran bunch, this team has been here. I think they've been very professional about it. I think the nervous energy last night, it was pretty quiet. I think it was a mental focus, as our defensive coordinator, Cedric Thornton, talked about. So I think this team is ready to go. I mean, Felix Harper, this is his home area, it's his home state's biggest game of his life. And you just wonder what's going through his mind right about now. Playing at home on ABC, national television, because he's going to be the guy that's going to help carry us. We got to run the football. We ran for over 300 yards last year in this game and lost. And the difference was a special teams kickoff return in the third quarter. We held this team scoreless the last 20 minutes of the game. That kickoff return was with 5 minutes left in the third quarter. So we contained them. But you talked about special teams. We can't have a special teams leak like that and expect to win the game. I mean, we play well enough to win, but you gotta have that third wheel going, and that's special teams, especially punt and kickoff coverage. And we didn't do that in that one sequence, and that cost us the game. So the little things, I think both teams are anxious. A&T hadn't played in over a month. We're kind of in a little rhythm, playing every couple of weeks with the championship game and this game. So, I think both teams are ready to go.
And that's an interesting point, being off basically a month. But Coach Washington talked about a chance to kind of like an extra spring practice. So really 4 weeks, get some people healthy, get some young players some reps. And I wonder, that was going to be one of my questions. But with that being said, does that play into maybe your performance? I'm sure they had a month off last year, and they were able to come out. So being re-energized, refreshed, for lack of a better word, against, an Alcorn State team that's been off, 2
weeks.
2 weeks. So it's a good point, but I don't think it's going to be a major factor as far as being rusty, is what I'm saying, or will it?
I think early in the game it will. I mean, look, when you haven't played it a month, football is one of those games in which it is a rhythm sport, like any other major sport. When you're used to the grind every week, you can't replicate Alcorn in practice. You just can't. I mean, whoever team you play in the conference that's in this game, you can't replicate that in practice. You just can't do that. And so I think early on the Braves have to come out fast and put A&T on their heels a little bit because of the fact that they have not had that rhythm, where the Braves have had that rhythm. So I do think, for anyone to sit here and say that it's the rest versus rust factor, I know Sam Washington says, they're going at it in practice and all that, but you haven't done it live. You haven't done it against another opponent. And I think it'll show itself early in the game, the first 2 or 3 possessions. But I think once you get midway through the first quarter, the game settles in, then I think that factor is a non-factor to me.
And to that point, if there's some rust, if there's some fatigue from the time off, that's when you have the turnovers and the mistakes with the false starts and the offside. So that'll be key to watch as the game unfolds, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, it's a question, comment, concern to bring up about that being off, but good point, and I agree with you. You'll probably see some rust a little bit, but as the game goes on. Charles, I don't know if you heard my opening statement, but one of the first big keys coming out, this Alcorn State defense, you had a couple losses from the previous year. Bentley gashed Alcorn for 245 yards. Sims, a freshman from Southern University, 149. Now you know what kind of juggernaut you're going up against with A&T that can run the football. First big key, can Alcorn State defensively kind of get back to maybe that Jackson State type effort defensively? Can they kind of control somewhat North Carolina A&T's running game?
I looked at their running back, Jermaine Martin, at the banquet the other night. He's only 5'8". He was barely taller than the table. So he's a smallish back, but he brings a lot of power. And you look at his numbers, he surpassed a lot of Tariq Cohen's numbers. Of course, we all know what Tariq Cohen did here. You know what he's doing now in Chicago. So we're going to have to deal with Jermaine Martin. They're going to run it downhill. And as Coach Washington says, we're cooking chicken. That means it's very simple. It's not hard to cook chicken.
Well, we've heard that before. Well, it depends if you want to bake or fry.
Right.
Well, you can do it in different ways, but it's simple.
It's still simple. So you kind of know what A&T is about. They have a veteran quarterback who's a grad student, been waiting for his opportunity. So you have a veteran quarterback and you've got a running back that's pretty good, I think A&T's not going to fool you. Sam Washington is an old school coach. He doesn't believe in a lot of the trickerations and a lot of the other stuff. He's just going to come right at you. He's an old school coach, and you just got to stop what they do. And for the Braves, I think they've been able to contain A&T, but then the other aspect, like special teams. I mean, let's be honest. You know, Tariq Cohen made the name for himself to get him over the hump in this game. He had over 300 yards rushing.
Yes.
He had that one big 85-yard run that just right up the middle.
And Charles, you know, I'm going to have to get you. We did a show that year, and you said you didn't think he was going to A&T was going to get their average.
Yeah. I mean, Tariq Cohen was the real deal. I mean, I think he got his paycheck then. You know, I mean, when you rush for 300 yards in a game, you're going to get a lot of people's attention. So I mean,
you usually don't do that against Alcorn. Right. I can't remember the last time Alcorn's given up that many rushing yards.
But to your point, you look at this Braves team all year long. We face some pretty good backs: Dwanya Tucker, Jordan Bentley. I mean, you're not going to find a back better than Jordan Bentley probably the next couple of years, I think. You know, if you just look at the teams that we played, you know, Jordan Bentley was the real deal. And you look at Jermaine Martin, not as big as Jordan Bentley, probably just as powerful. So it's going to be downhill football. It's going to be one in the trenches. Old school coaches love up front. Mm-hmm. And that Braves defensive line, Big Darrell Henderson and company, they're going to have to get penetration and blow it up in the line, because A&T is going to try to speed this game up by running the football and taking time off the clock, limit their possession, keep that Braves dynamic offense off the field. And Sam Washington is very much aware of guys like Pringle, guys like Chris Blair, and they got a lockdown corner, and it's going to be interesting to see that matchup. If Pringle's going to go against A&T's best lockdown corner, we're going to see how Elliott Radden deals with that matchup on the edges. So I mean, there's a chess match inside the chess match here. I mean, the Braves have the support of course, the Braves Nation, but the SWAC as well, because we've struggled in this game in years past. And even if you just look at the SWAC MEAC Challenge, combine the record SWAC MEAC Challenge in this game. You know, we always talk about SWAC MEAC, who's the better conference. Well, there are two chances to prove it every year. SWAC MEAC Challenge and Celebration Bowl. And right now, the MEAC has the edge. We have an opportunity here in our third time. Hopefully the third time's a charm for us.
Well, a little trivia. We know Prairie View got a victory in the SWAC MEAC Challenge. In Coach Dooley's first year against North Carolina Central. We know Southern University got, two victories in the SWAC MEAC Challenge. Now, Alcorn, Bethune, we don't know.
Yeah.
Because,
lightning.
because inclement weather and lightning. So, yeah, they're very confident. If you go on social media, it's a lot of going back and forth between both conferences. But at the end of the day, you got to put it on the field.
I will say this, though. I think it's just my opinion, and I'm not on the other side, on the MEAC side. I mean, I know Donald Ware, who does the Boxer Row poll. He does A&T radio. We'll be talking with him on our pregame show. I don't follow the MEAC quite as much, but I do think there's a little underlying, I'm not going to say jealousy, but that's probably the right word, because if you talk about HBCU football, whether you go to HBCU Sports or the other blogs, you hear a lot about the SWAC and what the SWAC's doing, what Southern's doing, what Jackson's doing, the SWAC per se. Mm-hmm. But you don't hear a lot about the MEAC. And maybe it's good because we are in SWAC territory and we don't deal per se what's going on the other side, and it's the same thing with the MEAC. But I think there's this little bit of a perception that the SWAC's getting all the love when it comes to SWAC football and the MEAC's not getting much. And I do think there's a little bit, not a lot, but I think there's a little bit of jealousy. And I think if you read the blogs and the back and forth on Facebook and all that, I do think there's some of that going on, because we're on television a lot. The ESPN3, ESPN, you were getting the Thursday night games or whatever it is. MEAC's getting a little bit of that too, but it seems like the perception is that the SWAC's getting a little bit more. So there's a little bit of a jealousy factor. And I do think that translates into those two games a year, SWAC MEAC and Celebration Bowl, in which, hey, we got two chances to prove that the MEAC's the better conference. And so far, Jackson State lost early in the season in the SWAC MEAC Challenge here in Atlanta, and we're 0-for-2 trying to get our first one. Grambling won 2 in a row, but if you just combine the SWAC MEAC and Celebration, the MEAC has the edge. So I think that's the one time that they can flex their muscles a little bit and say, hey, we're the better conference.
Yeah, even in the regular season, Michael,
Yep.
Southern and FAMU,
Yep.
FAMU gets the victory late.
Valley and Bethune-Cookman.
Yeah,
Yep.
so jealousy, but I look on the actual playing field.
They have our number.
I'm jealous because
They have
MEAC has got
number.
more wins.
They have more wins.
Yeah.
I think in the big games, the Bayou Classic is televised nationally. The SWAC Championship is televised. That's the only plus I would in terms of publicity, but they're all over. I watch their games every week on ESPN3 before I go to a SWAC game, so to speak, or if I'm not going to a game. But I don't know where that's coming from. I don't know why they feel that way, but they have won on the field.
Yeah,
they've won on the gridiron. So Alcorn can change that today.
Yeah. Well,
and speaking of that, I'm trying to see which is that Alcorn or in North Carolina A&T. Looks like coaches.
I think that's
somebody's just arrived.
Well, I know our SID is here, so I think
that's Alcorn, I believe.
Yeah, I think so. I don't have my binoculars, but look, I mean, Michael, to your point too. I mean, you look at the Bayou Classic on the NBC network. You look at the SWAC championship game. Now, the MEAC doesn't have that, and I talked with their commissioner, Dr. Dennis Thomas. He said right now there's no energy to have a MEAC championship game in the short term. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean that in the long term it won't happen. I mean, I do think, though, in my own personal opinion, that there will be a MEAC championship game somewhere down the road.
Well,
in the short term, no, but in the long term, yes, because there's a money opportunity there. And Dr. Thomas is all about money, like every commissioner is. Yeah, well, sometimes you have to have a little progging along. Yeah. Because remember, if you look at this bowl game, the MEAC, they were not excited about it at first. But now, hey, the opportunity to put the money in your athletic department. And Coach Washington talked about the applications that they received. He said 30,000 applications. In a month. For winning and participating in this ball game. Now, is it perfect? No, but you can always look to improve your situation. Well, on the flip side of that, Fred McNair said this past week on his show that he's got 15,000 emails in his inbox. And I'm like, Coach, how you gonna get to all that? I mean, of course you can't. You do the best you can, but from an enrollment and application standpoint at Alcorn, it's up. But then when your head coach is getting all these emails, kids want to play for you because you've had the success. That helps as well. So I think the reluctance from the MEAC side, and I was reluctant too. I mean, if we just go back 5-6 years when this game was first proposed, the one thing that came to my mind was the Heritage Bowl. And how long did that last? About 2 seconds? The Heritage Bowl didn't make it. And I'm like, if the formula is the same, this game's not going to make it. And I do think there was some reluctance probably on the MEAC side to have it, to get on board because of maybe the Heritage Bowl. And I was skeptical. But John Grant has done a terrific job with this. And again, it's about viewership. It's about eyeballs watching the game, to impress the suits at Disney, to have this game. We don't have a title sponsor. We've got a bunch of smaller sponsors, but we don't have, it's not the Air Force Reserve Celebration Bowl like it's been in the past. And that got my attention because, and we kind of talked about it yesterday, can a game like this survive without a major title sponsor sitting here at midfield that you're looking at? Even though you might have the viewership, that would be great, but without a big title sponsor, how will that factor in going forward in the long term? In the short term, it might be okay. 3, 4, 5 years from now, if we're going to have this game in a sustainable mode, will that continue? I'll ask John Grant. I haven't seen him in a couple of days. I know he's been busy, but I am going to ask him. And if I don't see him today, I'm going to text him probably tomorrow because he'll get those ratings, the TV ratings probably tomorrow, and I'll ask him that. Can we continue to prod along? Is that an area of concern? May not be, but it's just something to throw out there to think about. Yeah, it is something to think about. And we talked to a gentleman, found out
coming up to the stadium today. He's a Southernite. He works here, and he kind of gave us the tip that 28,000 is what they were expecting today. And of course, he and you've heard this. He says, "Boy, I tell you what will help solve that problem. Getting a certain team here." and he asked us about when can Southern get here. And I said, well, they've had 2 opportunities now, and now we're not going to turn this show into a Southern thing because we had enough of that yesterday. We were just going at it in debate. Yeah. And there'll be an opportunity to discuss that again with coaches and who will be in Birmingham in 2020. Usually somebody's not. May not happen this year, but it's an opportunity to think about this game. I think you have a long-term projection, and you want to have this game as viable as you can. Yeah. Now, you're going to face some adversity, just like in a football game. Your job at work, how do you deal with that adversity? That is the key. How you deal with some of the problems. This is the 5th Celebration Bowl. We've been blessed to be able to come here. You've been blessed. And I'm sure we could ask each one of us in here for some suggestions that could, make it better. We have some thoughts on that. It depends on if they're going to need or seek that input. And I think you always do that. You talk to everybody that you can.
I have a feeling, and was talking with Dr. McClellan a little bit at the banquet the other night. I have a feeling when this game is over, there will be conversations between John Grant, the people at ESPN, with the input of our commissioner, Dr. Charles McClellan, and Dr. Dennis Thomas, MEAC commissioner, in terms of what you can do to improve it. I think, just my opinion, I think that ESPN and the Disney folks want to see the numbers, the ratings, and then they'll just kind of go from there because, as John Grant has said, you said 28,000 is expected. If you have 28,000 in the stadium and you have a 2.4 rating, that's terrific. If you have 48,000 in the stadium and a 1.3 rating, that's not good. And he says it's great to have a great crowd. It looks good on television, but he keeps stressing the point. I talked to him 2 weeks ago at the championship game. It's still about viewership. A number of Braves fans I talked to said they can't make it here, but they're going to be watching the game. There are a ton of watch parties.
The eyeballs watching.
That's
so why not both?
That's possible.
A balance.
Yeah, that's possible. I mean, but again, this comes back to the finances. In order to be here, of course, it's not free. It costs money to come here. And I've talked to a number of people that, they have to make decisions on whether or not they want to come to the game or not, they can afford it. I talked to one person last week that said, well, we're going to go, we're going to make the trip, we're going to support, but we're going to have a little bit of a reduced Christmas. I mean, you have to think about it now. Mm-hmm. I mean, whether it's Southern, Grambling, Alcorn, it doesn't matter. You got, for example, Alcorn. You got Alcorn, Jackson State, Thanksgiving, SWAC championship game, Celebration Bowl, all in a month. That's dollars that leave in your pocket. If it was Southern, it's Bayou Classic, it's SWAC championship game, it's Celebration Bowl. And I talked to a Grambling alum at the airport several years ago when Grambling when Grambling had won the SWAC, and I was asking, was he going to Atlanta? I said, nope. I said, why not? Can't afford it.
Well,
I'm lying.
That's going to happen. I think one of the things that the committee, Celebration John Grant and the committee has to do, they have to promote this game at the beginning of the year, meaning when the season starts. And they need to do it in this medium here, the Carlos Brown show and the others that that covers the MEAC and who covers the SWAC. Yeah. And I think that's one aspect you can do. Because if Carlos been doing this for 20 plus years, I think 24 years now, okay, well, he has a pulse. He has a following.
Right.
And others who does talk radio and, have shows and stuff like that. So I think that can help too. Now, I think one of the things we need to do is, and there are some Southernites who I know and we're trying to get them to come, even if Southern don't come.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And just support the conference, you know. And like I say, I understand finances can be an issue, you know what I'm saying? But if you can, and if we change that perception amongst the other 9 schools in the SWAC, I think that'll help too. You know what I'm saying? So,
I'm sure there are SWAC alums here in Atlanta from every school,
Mm-hmm.
and if we get those folks to come, that will help in terms of attendance. If they just watch the game, regardless if their school is in it or not, that will help. But we all know the deal. If your favorite school's not in it, the heck with it.
Mm-hmm.
You may take a peek at the score, but are you going to just sit and be vested in the game, sitting at home on your couch with your beverage of choice, feet up on the couch, popcorn, just like a watch party if your favorite team's not in it? What are the odds of that happening? I mean, unfortunately, I see some of the watch parties on Facebook, and that's good. And that's good to have that, because that'll help in the ratings component. For me, I come here when the team arrives here on Wednesday. It's kind of jam-packed in terms of the itinerary. On Wednesday night, there's the banquet at the aquarium, a tour of the aquarium. On Thursday, you have the College Football Hall of Fame banquet. Friday, you've got the press conference. You've got your walkthrough here. Both teams take a hospital visit. So you really, as John Grant said one time, the coaches don't really get the team until probably Friday afternoon, that walkthrough, because every bowl game you have obligations. Right. Now, some teams arrive a couple of days before you even get into that, just to kind of get comfortable. That's a whole nother, that's a financial debate. But getting here Wednesday, I think is pretty good. You're hitting the ground running when you come here. But at the same time, I think that, for me, I've heard this idea yesterday, if you get the sororities and fraternities more involved, the Divine Nine, you got several thousand folks that will add to the attendance piece. So you're talking about well over 30,000, with that. There are opportunities to add to the attendance. There's no question about it. The question is, will it stick and will it stay?
That's going to be interesting to see how it all relays out. What we'll do, we'll take a time out, and when we come back, it'll be more of the Carlos Brown Show, heard exclusive right here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network.
Be the one with courage to fight child abuse.
All Texans must find the courage to fight child abuse.
Learn the signs and symptoms and report suspected abuse to appropriate authorities.
Learn and know these warning signs.
A child who undergoes changes in behavior, appetite, or routine. Watch for unexplained injuries, a change in academic performance, or loss of interest by a child in regular activities.
Trust your instincts. If you suspect something, do something.
If you believe a child is in an abusive situation, please call the Texas Abuse Hotline at 1-800-252-5400.
Be the one with courage. To find your local Children's Advocacy Center, visit onewithcourage.org.
On behalf of children, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have sports, will travel. The Open Mic Broadcast Network serving student athletes from Little League, high school, and collegiate coverage right here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network. From coast to coast, from dusk till dawn. You can catch all student athletic action right here at the Open Mic Broadcast Network, the station designed with you in mind. Serving the community through faith and athletics, the Open Mic Broadcast Network, the voice of student athletics.
One voice. It can get the point across, but it only carries so far. Add a voice. It's richer, louder, but that has limits too. Add a third voice. It's even more powerful. Add another, and another, and many, many more, and we are stronger than ever. That's the power of a community coalition. They help community groups, faith groups, civic organizations, PTAs, employers, and many others in your community organize their resources and focus them where they're needed most, like fighting to keep kids away from drugs. Ask a group that you belong to if they should belong to a community coalition. It's easy to get involved. Visit helpyourcommunity.org and they'll tell you exactly how your group can help. That's helpyourcommunity.org, because you get more when we get together. Brought to you by the Office of National Drug Control Policy and the Ad Council.
You're looking to expand your business or services? Let the Open Mic Broadcast Network help lead the way. With our customized campaigns, we are definitely able to reach your target audience. For more information, dial 832-213-8824. The Open Mic Broadcast Network, serving the community through faith and athletics. The voice of student athletics. Let's face it, from time to time, we'll have a need for an attorney, whether it's the case of a DUI, DWI, or any other circumstances that would find you on the other side of the law. Attorney Lee Van Richardson, located at 1047 Austin Street, is the one to call. Attorney Lee Van Richardson and his staff are equipped to help you get through your legal battles. Attorney Lee Van Richardson, 979-826-8008 in Hempstead, Texas. I know that as parents, we work hard to do everything right. We baby-proof our homes, put our kids in car seats, and learn what to do in an emergency. Yet most parents don't know that children could be poisoned by lead paint in their own homes. Lead poisoning causes permanent learning and behavior disorders, and the culprit is usually dust from peeling or chipping lead paint, which goes from the children's hands right into their mouths. Keep paint in good condition in your home, daycare, and other places where your children live and play. Ask your doctor to test your child for lead poisoning and get your home tested too. For more information on how to address lead paint problems safely, call 1-800-424-LEAD. This has been a public service announcement from the Open Mic Broadcast Network.
The birth of legends are storied in this conference. We must never forget our rich history. We now turn our gaze to the future. The new legends will emerge. New heroes to arise. The Southwestern Athletic Conference. Be our history.
Let's face it, from time to time, we'll have a need for an attorney, whether it's the case of a DUI, DWI, or any other circumstances that would find you on the other side of the law. Attorney Lee Van Richardson, located at 1047 Austin Street, is the one to call. Attorney Lee Van Richardson and his staff are equipped to help you get through your legal battles. Attorney Lee Van Richardson, 979-826-8008 in Hempstead, Texas.
Each team starts their journey on separate roads, but they all converge to one road to the championship. There will be revenge and redemption. There'll be an Aggie and Eagle standoff. There'll be Bulldogs and Bears colliding with Tigers and Spartans. Hornets fighting off Bison and Wildcats rattling the Rattlers. The road has twists and turns, and when it ends, one thing is certain. Only one team will claim the title. MEAC champion.
Welcome back to this week's edition of the Carlos Brown Show, broadcasting live from the 2019 Celebration Bowl in Mercedes-Benz, Stadium, site of the 2019 Celebration Bowl. I'm so excited, I can't get the words out. Unbelievable, the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. It's a beautiful facility, to say the least. But boy, look, Atlanta United. If you didn't know any better, you would say Atlanta Falcons would have played here, huh?
Yeah.
Well, you're a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. Michael Prince is a Steelers fan.
Yes, sir.
Charles, we don't even want to talk about this NFL team right now.
Yeah, no, we don't.
Yeah, boy.
They're playing tonight, though. They're playing the 49ers. Last gasp. Rams need to win out. Vikings need to lose out. And if that happens, the Rams will go.
The Rams are toast.
Well, I got to pull for the Rams, and I got to pull for Minnesota. Yeah, because the first 1 and 2 seed gets a bye.
we're on the same page, Carlos, because if that's the case, then the Rams will get in as a 6, and they may, if the Saints don't get one of those top 2 seeds, then it could be that
third
Rams
seed right now.
Rams and the Saints and a redo of the championship. I hope that's the case.
And that would be in New Orleans, I would say.
It'll be in the Dome. Yes.
Yeah, we won't get one of those the ghost calls.
Well, as my colleague Cedric Tillman, who's a diehard, bleeds black and gold, says,
he's a good man.
Weird things happen in the Dome. And I said, what do you mean? He said, hey, leaving that voodoo down there in New Orleans. So, I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yep.
Crazy stuff. Yep.
But wait. Can we take a break? We'll take another break, and we'll be right back. You're listening to the Carlos Brown Show on the Open Mic Broadcast Network. We'll be right back.
Are you one of the many Americans that deal with the effects of diabetes? Diva Skin Conditioner could be the remedy that you need. Diva Skin Conditioner is a formulation that was designed with you in mind. Diva Skin Conditioner comes with a money-back guarantee. That's how confident they are in their product. For more information, visit divafeet.com. That's DIVAH, feet.com. Or you can speak with a representative by dialing 903-270-0026.
Broadcasters come into our lives on radio and TV, bringing us information and entertainment. Broadcasters are there for us, but who is there for them when they fall on hard times? The Broadcasters Foundation of America provides financial assistance to broadcasters in acute need due to a critical illness, accident, or other serious misfortune. If you know of a broadcaster on the air or behind the scenes who may need our help, please share our message. Visit broadcastersfoundation.org.
Welcome back to this week's edition of the Carlos Brown Show, heard exclusively right here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network and Spreaker.com. Got about 11 minutes in hour number 1. And we were talking in the last couple of segments about the Celebration Bowl and how will it be in the future. Will it still be here in the future? They had some things that they're trying to do to get it, get right, get it better, and you can always try to get it better. That's the bottom line. That's kind of what my point was with all of this, to get this game better. Any other suggestions you have?
I think, when you've had, of course, the Braves have been here 3 times. A&T has been here. You've had Grambling here, and you've had North Carolina A&T here. North Carolina Central.
Mm-hmm.
I think that also plays a factor. Of course, Braves fans would love to be here every year. You talked about, Southern came up short. Grambling's been here and has won it a couple of times. I think what will help as well, if other teams, you just don't know how it's going to work out every year. If other teams are in it, that helps generate the excitement because, you just never know. Right now we just had a handful of teams in this game. I think Atlanta's big enough where the game can continue to grow. I think, again, the Divine Nine, I think if you get Morehouse and some of the other schools here in the area, to participate, maybe a band thing. I think because the bowl game is on such a tight schedule, I just think it's tough for folks, but I think the ones that can get here will be here. And I think also for this year, if you don't have a title sponsor, and I think that kind of took away from some of the steam as well. I think they were sponsoring some things that in the past where they might not have had it this go round. The venue's in the right place. You have an indoor venue. If it wasn't an outdoor venue, we've had light rain, it's cold.
Yeah.
You would really be concerned. But you got it in the right place. I think you have it in the right city. It's just a matter of getting everybody at the table, the mayor and all the supervisors and the commissioners and the presidents. Just get everybody together, and I think you do one or two big things. I think you'll add to the attendance of this game.
Expected crowd of 28,000. And again, that's kind of, it's been like 25 to 30,000, 35. I think even a couple times 35,000. What does the stadium seat? About 70,000?
Yeah, and they have the curtains up on the upper deck.
So that means you're not going to have the game there. I mean, you're not going to have a fan sitting up there.
Yeah.
So I guess it'll be a look for television.
Yes.
So with that being said, should be a good game today. North Carolina A&T and Alcorn State University. Now, I know a couple of weeks ago I brought up, would there be some fatigue involved? You have the same teams playing, but hey, those A&T and Alcorn State, they've gotten it done.
Yeah,
that's the bottom line. And then you make it an event. You make it an event, and then it doesn't matter who's here. Right. You make it an event, people are going to come.
Well, I mean, the whole bowl fatigue thing, that's a discussion for John Grant. And I'm again, I haven't had a chance to really sit down and talk with him about it. Of course, I'm happy to be here. I'm happy for my team to be here. Coach Washington is happy for his team, is happy for his fan base to be here. I mean, they sold out of their ticket allotment in 24 hours. So their fans will be here. Our fans will be here. But from someone on the outside of that periphery, like a John Grant, who's looking at the bigger picture in terms of ratings, and we've seen this in the NBA. Ratings are down in the NBA. When it was Cleveland and Golden State 4 years in a row, that word fatigue came. I mean, you got the best players in the world on two teams, and yet ratings, the first couple of meetings were fine, but then the last couple slipped a little bit because, I mean, look, as humans, we don't want to see the same thing all the time. I mean, but in sports, it's just the way it works. If those are the two best teams, those are the two best teams. They play it out on the court, on the field. So, I mean, for John Grant, I don't know if he would use the word bowl fatigue, because we've been in this thing. A&T's been in this thing. You've had Grambling, you've had North Carolina Central. Those are the only teams that have been in this game since its inception. So you just wonder that humanistically. I think that's something that he'll have to answer, and that's a question. I think once this game is over, I think we can ask that question.
Yeah,
especially if the overnight ratings don't come in. I mean, he told me if you get a 1.8, 1.92, that's good. But if you're like 1.4, 1.5, the suits at ESPN will be like, okay, we got to get more eyeballs on the game. And then you can't continue that low number over a 3 or 4 year period, because then they have to make some tough decisions.
Yeah, and then there are several other bowl games today on the network. And seems like to me, I can remember when it was not that many.
Yeah.
On Saturday.
And some have changed sponsorships. You got the Tax Slayer Bowl. That used to not be the case. You got these other entities sponsoring these bowl games. So it's it does change up. I mean, we've had the Air Force Reserve Celebration Bowl. It may be another sponsor, somewhere down the road. But I do think, in my own personal opinion, I think because they got a lot of the smaller sponsors to help make up for the big one that they had, that may be okay in the short term. But in the long run, is that going to be an issue? I hope not. But only one man can answer that. That's John Grant.
Yeah, well, we can only see what will happen in the future. But exciting ball game we're expecting today here in Atlanta, 2009 Celebration Bowl. And we kind of talked in hour number one, some kind of early keys as far as with Alcorn State, with North Carolina A&T. I wonder if it's how hard it would be to make A&T one-dimensional. If if their running game is not clicking, in which they bank a lot of their success on the running game, can they throw it consistently?
It's a good question because I don't think Khalil Carter has had to win a game. They mainly relied on the running game, and the running game has been so effective. He hasn't been put in that position. But I think if the Braves put him in that position, you know what I'm saying? Hey, see what happens. How will he react? But like I say, the games I watched, it was either, they was blowing people out, like North Carolina Central, or, but I've never seen. I don't know.
Well, that'll be something to look at. If you look at their schedule, North Carolina A&T, they defeated Ewan 24-21. The next week they played Duke. They lost 45-13. Charleston Southern, they won 27-21. They defeated Delaware State 37-0. And then you see where they start scoring a lot of points. Norfolk State, they won 58-19. FAMU 34-31 overtime loss, but that game was on a Sunday, and it was fireworks after the game, during the game. Wow, Coach Washington it sounded like he didn't like playing that Sunday. I think he felt that game could have been played on a Saturday, and they defeated Howard 64-6. Another big test against South Carolina State. They won 22-20. Then Morgan State, they lost 22-16. And that's 2 years in a row, if I'm not mistaken. And if you go into that ball game, you say, no way they lose to Morgan State. Here's matchups. Apparently Morgan State can do something well against against North Carolina A&T. Man, that was a shocker. And then they defeated Bethune-Cookman 47-17. So against, I don't know, it may be a sense of playing down, but then you lost the year before, so you should have been fired up. But against some of the top teams in the conference, they were able to win and win handedly. North Carolina A&T, but they're going to bank everything on their run game, solid defense, force turnovers, and they believe in winning. I think one of you guys said it earlier. That Coach Washington, old school. They're going to win with stout defense, win the kicking game, and an offense that's just going to ground it.
I think these two teams kind of mirror each other in terms of how they got here. For us, the Grambling game obviously was, the rubber meets the road type of game. The best defense in the conference in Grambling, low scoring slugfest. Some calls in there that you could question, but we had a chance to get something done in that game, and we lost in overtime. And then North Carolina A&T, that lost to Morgan State, and Coach Washington even alluded to that was a wake up call. That was one in which, hey, if you all want to get here, you gotta play better. If not, we're gonna be sitting in Greensboro. And the team woke up from that point. And look, every season, no matter how good or how bad it is, there's a rubber meets the road moment. And I think for us, it was a Grambling game because we had to play Alabama A&M right after that, and Glass and Bentley. And you saw that game turned out. It came down to the final play. And then, of course, for North Carolina A&T, they had to win the last couple of games. The game against Central, obviously Central's not very good, but still, you still had to get it done. And for them to do that, the Florida A&M game, Coach Washington made an interesting point when he was asked what team does Alcorn simulate in the MEAC, and I thought he was going to say Florida A&M,
but he didn't.
He didn't, and that was an interesting development. Because Willie Simmons, the Braves offense over the last several years, if you go back to Jay Hobson, was created by Willie Simmons. Remember, he was the offensive coordinator at Alcorn. The offense hasn't changed. The players have changed. There might be a couple of tweaks there, but the offense has not changed. Fred McNair was the quarterback's coach. So the offense hasn't changed.
But, when we go back and look at this season, though, it was just, and I'll say it again, just amazing that when Noah Johnson went down. Now, look, if you go back and look at the stats, Noah Johnson had success throwing the football, correct? He was the definition of a dual threat, correct?
Yeah.
But to able to, some other program in the conference, the adjustment would have been maybe 2 or 3 weeks. But it seems like Alcorn, no downtime. It was like they turned on the switch. And that's what sticks out to me about this Alcorn State. Yeah, they defeated Southern University again. I know that, but boy, to be able to do that, to switch it like that and come in and don't miss a beat.
Yeah.
I think,
give them the glory for that.
And I think Alcorn is more dangerous now because they're more balanced.
But now I would like to see their run game.
Yeah.
You tend to now. Here's where I'm going with this. You kind of forget about Waller and Duffy and all those guys because the way they've been able to adapt and throw the football. Could that be something we could look at today with Alcorn maybe having some success, being balanced?
But if the offensive coordinator, calls a game where he mixes, run and pass, and it's effective, to me that's more. To me that makes them more dangerous because we know that the young man can throw. He can throw it well, And you know about Waller and the other experienced backs that they have, So to me, that's a plus for them, for Alcorn on offense, because if the passing game is going and then you can run it effectively, man. That could put a lot of pressure on A&T's defense.
Well, the Braves are going to do what they're going to do. They're going to start out running the football with Waller and Nico Duffy. That's what you pretty much can bet the house on. They're going to try to put people in the box, and then and Sam Washington said that they got probably the best receiver core they've seen, and Chris Blair, Pringle, Juan Anthony. So the Braves' ability to run, and I think the Braves do have an advantage there, by the way, as far as receivers go. Braves have a huge edge there. So in order to make that happen, the Braves are going to have to run the football. Make A&T crowd the box. Then you get the slants. Then you get the one-on-ones. Southern hadn't been able to handle Chris Blair yet. And so, Chris Blair, tall receiver, you get separation. He's going to come up with those 50-50 balls. You got Rodarius Anderson at 6'5". He didn't play that well in the Southern game 2 weeks ago. He dropped a touchdown, dropped some passes there. So I think the Braves are going to do what they're going to do, run the football. Now, Elliott Red might change it up a little bit. He may try to stretch A&T early. Then you have an opportunity to run the football. But I think the Braves are going to do what they're going to do, which is run the football, and A&T's just going to, I don't know if they're going to bake it, if they're going to rotisserie it, if they're going to fry it. They're going to fry that chicken. And that means Jermaine Martin's going to get the carries. And it's going to be no nonsense. I think that's the thing about A&T to me. It's no frills, the trickeration. You're not going to see that. Sam Washington doesn't believe in that. He's an true old school coach that's going to run it downhill. There's no secret in terms of what he's going to do. Just a matter of you stopping it.
Well, let's do this. Top of the hour break, although it's a minute or two after. And we'll get ready for hour number 2. Alcorn State and North Carolina A&T. The rematch as we look out on the field. North Carolina A&T looks like they're going to have on all blue. And I think Alcorn, I'm hearing that they're going to come out with all gold. Have you heard anything about that, Charles?
Well, I asked Coach McNair about that the other night. I think we are. I see the gold pants. So I believe we are going to have that. The old gold. Folks love that. There was a tweet about that the other night, and I think that's what we're going to come out in. I think we're the home team as well. We're on the press box side, so I believe we are the home team.
Wow. Not the shiny gold helmets, huh?
I think so. I think
boy.
Yeah. I think the purple unis, you got the purple composite helmets, the gold unis, the gold helmets. I think that's what we got.
Well, A&T is warming up on the field as we speak. It should be a good one. Kick off in about a little bit over an hour after the show is complete. 12:06 Eastern Time, 11:06 Central. Take a top-of-the-hour break. More of the Carlos Brown Show coming up on the Open Mic Broadcast Network and Spreaker.com.
This is Al Wash with ALW Entertainment, the promoter of the State Fair Classic, and I want y'all to keep your dial because I listen to the Open Mic Network every day. Keep the dial locked in.
Hello, this is Lonzo Hardy, Vice President of the SWAC Alumni Association. The SWAC Alumni Association is an organization founded in 1999 with the goal of enhancing the great legacy of excellence in the SWAC as well as preserving the athletic heritage of the SWAC. Its membership is open to former athletes as well as current and former coaches, assistant coaches, athletic administrators, referees, employees of conference member institutions, as well as fans of SWAC sports. Individuals interested in gaining membership can contact the organization's president, Roscoe Nance, at 509 Worcester Street in Herndon, Virginia, 20170. Annually, the SWAC Alumni Association holds a Legends Award in which Lifetime Achievement Awards are presented. Occasionally, a legend of the conference is honored in a roast, and annually 1 or 2 former student athletes are presented degree completion scholarship awards. Contact the organization's president, Roscoe Nance, at 509 Worcester Street in Herndon, Virginia, 20170.
Reach more potential customers through our sports radio package by dialing 832-213-8824. I know that as parents, we work hard to do everything right. We baby-proof our homes, put our kids in car seats, and learn what to do in an emergency. Yet most parents don't know that children could be poisoned by lead paint in their own homes. Lead poisoning causes permanent learning and behavior disorders, and the culprit is usually dust from peeling or chipping lead paint, which goes from the children's hands right into their mouths. Keep paint in good condition in your home, daycare, and other places where your children live and play. Ask your doctor to test your child for lead poisoning and get your home tested too. For more information on
Be the one with courage to fight child abuse.
All Texans must find the courage to fight child abuse.
Learn the signs and symptoms and report suspected abuse to appropriate authorities.
Learn and know these warning signs.
A child who undergoes changes in behavior, appetite, or routine. Watch for unexplained injuries, a change in academic performance, or loss of interest by a child in regular activities.
Trust your instincts. If you suspect something, do something.
If you believe a child is in an abusive situation, please call the Texas Abuse Hotline at 1-800-252-5400.
Be the one with courage. To find your local Children's Advocacy Center, visit onewithcourage.org.
On behalf of children, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Each team starts their journey on separate roads, but they all converge to one road to the championship. There will be revenge and redemption. There'll be an Aggie and Eagle standoff. There'll be Bulldogs and Bears colliding with Tigers and Spartans. Hornets fighting off Bison and Wildcats rattling the Rattlers. The road has twists and turns, and when it ends, one thing is certain. Only one team will claim the title. MEAC champion.
The birth of legends are storied in this conference. We must never forget our rich history. We now turn our gaze to the future. The new legends will emerge. New heroes to arise. The Southwestern Athletic Conference. Be our history.
Welcome back to hour number 2 of this week's edition of the Carlos Brown Show, broadcasting live from Atlanta, Georgia, 2019 Celebration Bowl inside the Mercedes-Benz Stadium here in Atlanta, Georgia. North Carolina A&T and Alcorn State will get it on in a little bit. Helping me to make this trip to Atlanta, Boo Boo's Barbecue and Catering. I love their slogan, get some in your lips. Now, you can call them at area code 281-317-0170. That's 281-317-0170. Or you can call 832-528-6445 to order. You can get sides by the quart. You can get meats by the pound. You have ribs, chicken, sausage. Oh, boy. Beef ribs. You got a little bit of everything that you can get. Pulled pork. If you don't see it on the menu, they say just ask. DeMarcus Miller and wife and family, they're great people. Great people. DeMarcus Miller, former Southern University defensive tackle. So it's Boo Boo's Barbecue and Catering. Get some in your lips. Appreciate them. Guys, Alcorn State and North Carolina A&T. I was waiting on another guest, and he may make it up, Brandon B.J. Jones. But in hour number 1, we did talk somewhat about the matchups, the Celebration Bowl. We talked about the North Carolina A&T being off a month, and then Alcorn State having 2 weeks off. So that's even as far as having some time off. But they'll get it done. At the end of the day, they'll get it done. Charles said they may be a little rusty at first, but I think the energy and the excitement and the motion of this football game, I think they'll swing back into shape pretty quickly. So with that being said, North Carolina A&T 8-3, 6-2 in the MEAC. Alcorn State 9-3 overall, 6-1 in the Southwestern Athletic Conference. And Charles, to you, if I could have asked this question at the press conference, the type of game that Alcorn State had in the SWAC football championship, that prepares Alcorn State to kind of go into this game?
I think so, because Southern took away a lot of stuff that we did. You know, it was hard for Felix Harper to stretch the field for most of that game. I mean, one of the touchdowns was a blown coverage. Pringle was wide open. Otherwise, those slants, that rub routes, that underneath stuff wasn't there. Southern did a nice job with that until the fourth quarter, in which the Braves outscored them 23-7. Mm-hmm. So I think, yes, I mean, a game like that in which it's a slog, you know, I think A&T's going to make, I mean, that game 2 weeks ago was kind of similar to the game we had here last year. You know, it was 24-22 here last year. And even though the Braves, you know, scored 23 in the fourth, it was kind of a slog through 3 quarters 2 weeks ago. So I do think that a game like that definitely can help the Braves, you know, but, you know, you don't expect A&T to turn it over 6 times like the Jaguars did. I mean, that was the game. You can, you know, sum that up. But I think A&T is going to try to play ball control and keep our offense off the field. But, yeah, I do think Southern's defense was stingy for 3 quarters, and I think that stingy defense is what we're going to see in A&T today.
24-22 last year, 2015, 41-34. And do you remember this game in 2004? 16-13. I guess Alcorn won that ball game. You broadcast a lot of games. That one doesn't.
That wasn't a classic.
Okay.
Yeah, that wasn't at home, or that wasn't in Greensboro. I think that game was in a classic.
But the series 2-1. A&T leads, but twice. This will be the 3rd time in the Celebration Bowl. If you look at the numbers, the MEAC, they have the advantage. Only one win for the MEAC. For the Southwestern Athletic Conference in the Celebration Bowl. That was Grambling State, and we got a chance to witness that one. 10-9 in that ball game.
That's when, I mean, Grambling, that was, if I want to say, was that Kincaid's first Celebration Bowl?
Yes.
It was his first Celebration Bowl.
Yes.
So he was still trying to figure it out, and the offensive coordinator was who? Coach Dooley? Was Dooley the offensive coordinator for Grambling then?
Well, I think some people still would wish he was still back at Grambling as offensive coordinator, but
the difference in the game was what? A block, extra point.
Yeah.
And
then the play in the end zone celebration.
The kid took his hat off, and they had to back up 15 yards, So.
And, they had some people to tell me at the Bayou Classic, should have been the Southern players took their helmet off after the and that should have been a 50. No, it was involved in a touchdown. block field goal attempt. But there's been some interesting games in black college football and in the Southwestern Athletic Conference, which we get a chance to talk about and see. But you go back, Charles, and guys, you think about the predictions in Birmingham, where it starts. Alcorn picked to win it all, come out of the East. Southern coming out of the West. That's how that happened. Alabama A&M and Prairie View, teams that were picked to challenge.
One of them did.
Yeah, well.
One of them lived up to the prognostications. The other fell by the wayside in crucial moments and of the season, even though they bounced back at the end. But just some critical losses against good teams cost that particular team. Do we need to call the name, Carlos? I do, Dr. Prince, but hey, we gotta call it like we see it.
Well, and that brings up the point: who's going to be on the hot seat next year? There's always somebody's on the hot seat. We kind of had that discussion yesterday after the press conference. But some seats are going to get warm, if not hot. They're going to get warm. But when you think about the way the teams ended and going into next year, man, guys, some teams, they just got to get it done. They're close, but they're not. Only horseshoes count. You get close to the stick, you get a point, right? Well, this is football. You've got to get over the hump.
Well, tough job.
Well,
tough job coaching in this day and age.
I'll say that there's been a number of coaches in college football that have been let go. Of course, at the Power Five. One thing that I'm discovering in the whole coach's hot seat debate: before the seat is hot, it gets warm first, and typically when it gets warm, it's going to get hot. And typically when it gets hot, coaches don't come off of it. It's just a matter of time when it's over. Can you name of a coach that was on the hot seat? Maybe one. Gus Malzahn. I think Gus Malzahn was on the hot seat. He got off of it by beating Alabama. I think that was one. But in my opinion, it's just me. I think Alabama wasn't the same Alabama. They were at home. I think Gus had to win that game, in my opinion. I mean, we're talking, we're playing up a little bit here, but typically, in the SWAC, there are no changes. I think you got some new coaches, but I do think the pressure will be on a little bit. I think that school we hadn't called, Prairie View. Until now, we just called it. I just called it. I think Dooley this is Dooley's team now. When he walked in the door, he had Jalen Morton, he had DeWanya Tucker, he had those other pieces when he walked in the door. Well, those pieces are gone. It's going to start now. And I think this is Dooley's team going forward. Now, he told me at SWAC Media Day he had a quarterback in his back pocket. It's going to be pretty good. He didn't call the name. I don't know if he played this year or not, Dr. Prince.
You want me to call his name?
Yeah.
I won't call his name, but the kid that he was referring to, it wasn't as projected. I'll just put it like that.
Okay, well.
Because I don't like trashing kids.
Well, I think he's going to be looked at a little more critically this year because this is his team now. I mean, all of Willie Simmons' players are probably gone.
Correction.
So now,
it was his team when he signed on the dotted line.
Well, I mean, it's a little bit of a semantical deal. I mean, I get that. I mean, yes, it is his team, but you had your players from previous regimes that are there, and I know you get judged by what you're doing right now, but I do think that the judgment on Dooley is going to really start in earnest starting now. He's got Alcorn at home. He's got Southern at home, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. And I think he's got to win those. He's got to win those games.
Well, don't you always think about somebody with the quick fix? I did notice that they signed some JUCOs and some transfers. Over at Prairie View. Yeah. Well, I know another school, Oldham, Southern. They signed some JUCOs. Why do you bring JUCOs in?
You bring JUCOs in before immediate impact.
Okay. So, and I had a couple of coaches say, "Well, I thought you didn't use that method. You went the old-fashioned way. Start from bring them in as a high school, a freshman, and then they go to a senior." So I think it's the pressure to win and win immediately.
Right.
Now I'm just saying that. That's just me.
Well, I mean,
that's just me.
If you look at Alcorn, John Gibbs, Lenore Footman, Noah Johnson, Felix Harper, those guys were raised from scratch. And even Fred McNair is kind of backed off the JUCOs. We do have some, but not nearly as many as we've had in the past. He believes in building it from scratch, and if you stick and stay with the program, you continue to win, you build them up, they'll be fine. But as you said, the coaches, to me, with the pressure, they want the JUCOs and the grad transfers. Kincaid fell in Grambling's lap, and you just wonder, is Fobbs looking for another Kincaid? You just wonder that. Hickbottom, you put a lot of investment into Hickbottom. Is he your guy? We talked about it yesterday. Some say maybe not, but you've invested a lot of time in that kid, and if he's not the guy, and you wind up going with a JUCO, or you wind up, going with another Kincaid type, you might have another offensive coordinator in there. That's going to be a little work in progress, in which you might take a step back before you take 3 steps forward. And I think Fobbs has the cachet and has the equity to be able to take a step back because he's won for the most part at Grambling. So even if he takes a step back, I know Gramblinites, including myself, might not be happy about it, but I think he's one of those coaches that can afford to take a step back, knowing that he can probably go 4 steps forward when he gets through all that. Dawson Odoms, I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure if he can
I'm not surprised you were going.
I'm not so sure if he can do that. I don't think he can take a step back. I think he hasn't 10 out of 11, but the whole thing about Skelton, I know that's a work in progress still, but what other quarterback you think Southern has on that roster that's going to give the Jaguars right now in 2020 the best chance to win when you got Alcorn at home, you got Jackson at home, you got a favorable home schedule? If you have another quarterback that you feel like that can step in right away and take Skelton's job, okay. But if you're not so sure, what other options you got? Are you willing to take that hit to allow that quarterback to groom and develop? Because you might lose some games along the way, and you might not even get to the championship game. So Skelton's got a lot of work to do, but what quarterback gives you the best chance of winning if you're looking at 2020? Is it Skelton or is it someone else in the pipeline? I don't know.
Well, I've given my opinion on it several times, but Brandon B.J. Jones, the HBCU Game Day, has joined us. B.J. Charles is on the roll, as always. You want to answer that question?
Well, Charles is in on the...
Wait a minute, let me pause you up a little bit. Go ahead.
Yeah, Charles is in on a few solid points. If you're Dawson Odoms, you don't have that equity of starting over, especially with a frustrated fan base on how the last 2 seasons have ended. So the legitimate question is Ladarius Skelton going to be the guy for you? Is he going to be the quarterback that's going to lead you to the promised land? And it's safe to say that a lot of people in Jaguar Nation have their questions about that. Can he develop into that? That remains to be seen. He can get you to the championship game, but now you have to get over the hump. So it will be interesting to see which direction Southern goes during the off season when you start talking about the quarterback position.
Well, and that's a good point because as we see the North Carolina A&T band as they're entering the stands, they came on the field. A young man, and it's not to put a lot of undue pressure on him, but Harold Blood, redshirt freshman from Jesterham High School, comes from an outstanding program. I think in the spring, you see what he can do. Boney, another redshirt quarterback. I'm more into, and I thought about it after I talked to you last week, I'm more of opening that competition up in the spring. Let the best man win. If Skelton is the best guy, he'll show it. But it's some things that's got to change. And after what you said happened, I understand your frustration comes in. You're frustrated and you're on the sideline. But the quarterback is the leader. So I want to see that the whole offense, competition across the board, defense as well. In the spring, after spring, you come out, choose the best man, then go into the fall camp because there's extreme pressure. You know the Jaguar Nation fan base. Well, they can have long-lasting feelings about it, and they're still raw about it.
Well, I'll say this. There's no question Skelton has the talent. He made a couple of bad decisions in the championship game. But I think the mental aspect for me, and it kind of stood out in the championship game, and I mean, I don't think I've shared this, but, we had the raw ESPN feed in our booth. So when you're looking at the game on TV, they go to commercials. The camera's still panning and getting shots. Skelton had a bad pick. He goes to the sidelines. He's behind the bench, and he's looking up in the stands. And I think, from what I can gather, maybe some of the Jaguar fans were on him, and he was going back at him. And I think that messed with him a little bit. And I think, especially that last turnover, I mean, taking off his equipment, I mean, all that. I mean, Southern, a minute 12 left, you're down 14 with 3 timeouts. I mean, come on, man, the game's not over. You gotta keep pushing. I mean, even if you don't score, you burn your timeouts, you throw everything you got at that thing. And if you get to the 1-yard line and don't score, well, yeah, you lost the game, but you gave it everything you had in the last minute. You pull your quarterback, the game was technically not over. I mean, anything can happen. Onside kick, you never know what could happen. That's as a football fan, not just as an Alcorn guy. As a football fan, that's what got me. I mean, why did Skelton pull his equipment off? Why was he taken out? Was he mentally just done? Was Dawson Odom's done? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm not trying to paint that picture, but as a football fan, just with no interest in the game, if you just were looking at it with a box of popcorn and just following the game, like, man, 3 timeouts.
You play to the end.
You play to the end.
You play to the end.
And that's what got me more so than because I was just shocked.
Attitude reflects leadership, and leadership reflects attitude.
Yeah.
And so I heard that in a movie somewhere, but you have to. Come on. But anyway, it's over now. They fell short. How do they get back to the same position next year, but then get over the hump? I think that's what Jaguar fans want to know. But then I know Grambling wants to be better. Prairie feels like they can challenge. So it starts over. It starts over. Who's going to be the team to make it over the hump? Can Alcorn retain what they've had the last few years?
We got 26. We're losing 26 seniors. Now, the system's going to stay the same. Nothing's going to change. We just lost 26 seniors that's playing their final game today. Conventional wisdom would say there's going to be a little bit of transition. At the quarterback position, you got that. Felix Harper. Deshaun Waller's playing his last game. You got Nico Duffy. Going to have to recruit a back or two. Our early signing list hasn't come out yet. They're trying to, on compliance, is trying to finish that up. Probably by Monday they'll have that ready. But offensive line, defensive line, we've lost a lot. Our secondary is going to be solid. We're going to be losing some receivers. So we got some work to do. And the question is, are we good enough with losing that, or is other teams in the East elevating their game to challenge Alcorn? Alabama A&M, you got Glass. I mean, Glass is scary. You got Ibrahim, freshman receiver. He's going to be better. Now, they don't have a Jordan Bentley back there. But who's gonna tote that mail for him with Jordan Bentley gone? That defense needs to get better, though. There's no question about that. A&M's defense was not very good, and Maynard's got to get that fixed. But A&M, I think, is a team that could challenge. I don't think Jackson State's there yet. I'm not convinced Alabama State's there yet either. Dr. Ely, he's a doctor now. Dr. Ely's got to come up with a remedy. I thought he finished the year strong. He beat Grambling. He beat Jackson with a third-string quarterback. I think that cachet helped him.
He bought some time.
He bought some time, but how much time?
How much time? That's a key word.
How much time?
How much time?
He's still. I mean, I love Ely.
He'll be back. He'll be back for next year.
He'll be back for next year. He's a dapper dresser. I mean, I like all that, but from the politics of it, Ely is still a part of that Brian Jenkins regime. And if you can't get over that Magic City hump, you're not going to be there. I mean, it's just Alabama State fans. All they talk about is the Magic City. A&M fans, all they talk about is the Magic City. And Carlos, I know that drives you crazy because there's other games to be played, but that's all they care about is the Magic City.
I'm trying to get Southern to the championship and win it. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens in 2020 in the Southwestern Athletic Conference. BJ, this game today, we've been talking about some keys. How do you see this game playing out?
It's going to be all about the intangibles today. Can Alcorn protect Felix Harper? I like Felix Harper and what he's able to do in the pocket once he has time. I like his receivers. I think that people have underrated these Alcorn receivers all year. We talked about Chris Blair. Hakeem McNair has come on late in the season. Warren Anthony Jr. Is another one of those guys. So you talk about that receiver unit. They're going to be facing a great group of defensive backs today, led by Matt McCain. If you look at Matt McCain, he is second nationally. We talk about passes defended. Mm-hmm. He's a guy, was a freshman All-American a few years ago, had an injury a year ago. He's back. He makes that entire secondary better because he's a guy that's able to play on the island. If you can protect Felix Harper, give him some time, give him an opportunity to find some holes in that A&T defense, then you kind of like your chances. Can Alcorn establish a run?
That's what we talked about earlier.
This A&T defense that's ranked third nationally in total defense. That's going to be key.
Because don't you think that A&T would love for Felix to drop back and throw 40 times?
Yes.
And that would kind of play to their advantage. It's always, I use a boxing analogy. If I know a guy has a left hook and that's all he has, I can deal with that. But a guy that can take you out, has a good jab, left and a right, a balanced team, and I think Alcorn can't. Sometimes, even if you're not running the ball like you want to, the attempts. I still think they're going to have to attempt to be balanced. They're going to have to run. I'm very uncomfortable as a spectator of this game, seeing Alcorn if they have to throw 40 plus passes,
especially against a team that's ranked 8th in sacks. They have those defensive ends and they rotate a lot. They like to get after the quarterback. They'll do a lot of blitzing. You'll see a lot of A-gap blitzing with the middle linebacker. They like to give you some eye candy to look at, so when they don't hit on the blitz, you still feel that pressure. And that gives quarterbacks happy feet, which leads to interceptions, which they're also solid at.
It's going to be a great matchup. One of the other keys is one team I'm sure is used to playing ahead, not from behind. And in games like this, who responds to adversity well if something doesn't go well? Can they bounce back? It's like, I'm going back to boxing again. The guy's never been cut, and then he happens to get cut. And he's got blood in his eye. How does he respond? Does he just folds it, or does he comes back?
With that, I like Alcorn State. If you look at what they went through with Prairie View, with Southern in the SWAC championship game, the back-to-forth game that they have with Alabama A&M, Alcorn has shown a resiliency to be able to bounce back. You can't say that about North Carolina A&T. Close ball game down in Tallahassee, they lose it. They did win a close game against South Carolina State. Close ball game in Baltimore, Maryland against Morgan State, they lose it. So they have shown this year, sometimes when you're the bully and you get punched in the mouth, it catches you off guard. If Alcorn's able to punch them in the mouth, they're like the Braves champ.
We also talked about the MEAC and the SWAC and the challenge and this bowl game, the success the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference has had in these matchups. How important is it for the SWAC to kind of break through today?
It's very important. When we look at Sacramento ratings and when they rank the conferences, the MEAC is ranked anywhere between 6th and 8th. The SWAC is ranked 12th out of 13 conferences. So you see the national media's perception of the conference. So this goes a long way to helping that perception. If you're able to knock off a top dog like North Carolina A&T, who has defeated Jacksonville State, who has defeated Elon, who has defeated Charleston Southern, who has defeated those FBS teams. If you're able to do that, then people start to look at your conference and say, hey, they're playing some real ball down in the SWAC. And I think because of that, that's why you have a team like Alcorn State, who was 8-3, Southern at 8-4, who wasn't getting many top 25 votes. When over in the MEAC, you had 3 teams at one point in time in the top 25 at different times during the season.
I'm visiting with Brandon B.J. Jones of HBCU Game Day. How important, or do you feel it's important, that you have the discussion about styles of play? MEAC comes off as more physical, run-oriented conference. The SWAG more pass-happy, not as physical. But you look at an Alcorn State team, if you somewhat take out this year because they were able to evolve with Harper, Alcorn is very physical to me. It's based on seeing them in the conference. Mm-hmm. And then at one point you could say Grambling State University. But do people make too much about the difference between the conferences and the style of play? Because football is football at the end of the day, blocking and tackling.
Styles of play can come into effect, especially when we start talking about maybe the first 3 drives of a game. When you're dealing with a team that comes from a physical style of play, the receivers in your conference, they may not block as well. They may run routes to get you out of the way. As far as, but we talk about the MEAC, I've watched the Celebration Bowl, and I've seen defensive backs looking at the ref doing run plays like, what is he doing? This receiver's trying to take my head off. He's not trying to run me off. He's really running me to the sideline. And it takes about 3 drives for you to get adjusted to that style. So it can impact the early going of a ball game.
What do you see? Give the audience maybe 1 or 2 things that we had to watch in this ball game today that'll tell you something before the first quarter is over or after the first quarter.
Has Alcorn established a run? If you're looking at an Alcorn team and they're getting less than 3 yards per carry, it's going to be a long day because you're not going to be able to just drop back. And can the Alcorn defensive backs, can they cover Bell? Can they cover that receiver core from North Carolina A&T and Jermaine Martin? Is Jermaine Martin breaking off 5- and 6-yard runs? Because his 5- and 6-yard runs turn into 20- and 30+ yard runs in the second half.
And that's an interesting analogy. And I talked about Alcorn and can they run the football, but sometimes you have to take account of attempts. In other words, you can't abandon the run if you're Alcorn, you're not successful at first. Is it important for them to at least continue to try to run and get attempts before they just abandon it?
You got to try. You got to establish the run. I mean, even if you're getting modest numbers, you have to establish it because if you're not able to set up the run, that means that you're getting beaten up front. And if you're getting beat up front and all you can do is pass with that pass rush that they have, Felix is not a big guy. They have big defensive linemen. They don't look big because they're long. They're 6'4", 6'5".
Don't they always look big?
Yeah. But and they're athletic, and they'll get after him. So you got to establish the run.
Well, it should be interesting. They say 6 minutes after 12 Eastern Standard Time. You're getting accustomed to this Eastern Standard Time? I'm not, but I'm not hearing that. My goodness.
I'm accustomed to it now, man. it's not as hard as it was a few months ago when I first came over, but I'm used to it now.
So Atlanta's treating you nice. You're getting accustomed to it.
Man, I'm getting accustomed to it. Man, I love the city. Man, there's a lot of great things going on. Very happy about the Celebration Bowl being here. Number one, it's a home game, so they have to travel. But I got the opportunity to kind of play host last night, kind of show people some sights and be able to do that today. You know, my SWAC family, just to be able to show people around and some cool things going around the city.
Yeah, the 5th annual Celebration Bowl. It's been 5 years. Been some close games. A little bit after 12:06 Eastern Standard Time. I'm gonna get used to it. 6 minutes after 11 Central Standard Time, Mercedes-Benz Stadium, 71,000 it says it seats. But a beautiful facility. Although I could take a shot there with all these Falcons and the red and black around, but a nice facility. And then the SWAC Mid Challenge. Got a chance to see Georgia State Stadium. Seats about 25,000. So, SWAC Mid Challenge, the Celebration Bowl, it's been a good thing so far.
Oh yeah, I mean, and one of the things about it, I see Charles Edmonds is coming back. Here in the city of Atlanta, you would be surprised how many people was rooting for Southern. You heard it going to work. You heard it from friends. Even out yesterday, walking around Lenox Mall with some Southern gear on, he was like, "Man, I wish that y'all had made it." This city was prepared for Southern to actually make it. You actually had some comments by Keisha Lance Bottoms, the mayor here, about the expectation of Southern making.
Really?
We asked Coach McNair about that yesterday during the press conference. A lot of people in this city were anticipating Southern making it, and it was a buzz around the city that you could potentially have the Jaguars here in December.
Wow, and that's what makes it so difficult, because yesterday after the press conference, you got individuals like Charles Edmonds trying to explain to, like I have power to make a coaching change. I'm not an administrator at Southern University. I'm a graduate of Southern University. So I have deep feelings, and my colleagues have been telling me once again, it's better to be second and get there and not win than not get there at all. Wow. Profound statement. I know that, but I'm putting it out there. If you were in the position that Southern Knights are in the position, you wouldn't know how it would feel. Yeah. And then I've had people say, well, you got to have a plan in case something happens down the line. No. You'll be another Jackson State. No, I don't want to hear that.
I will say this, and
it is just frustrating. Just respect my emotion.
Right.
2 years in a row.
Yeah.
2 years in a row, but especially this year. That really was that hurt.
Yeah, and you have every right to feel that way emotionally, and we share some of the same sentiments. But I always tell people this: once emotion wear off, you got to be real. Got to be real. You got to be honest. Because if you're not, that's how you end up in the position at Jackson State. You make an emotional decision. There was no plan A, B, C, or D, and now you're having to do things by the seat of your pants and end up setting your program back. So, the biggest thing is, I mean, you do. There are 5 or 6 plays that will decide a championship game.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing to make sure that those 5 or 6 plays go your way? And that preparation starts in January.
Yep.
When you wait until the pass and stuff rolled out, you've waited too long. That process, it starts in January, not only for the coaching staff, but for the players.
Well, as usual, a younger guy than me, but word to the wise, because I am an emotional guy. And, after you sit back and you think about it, you're still going to feel a little raw, but as time goes on, how does Southern University get better? And you telling me about the buzz around Atlanta about, boy, wishing Southern University was here. Well, they had their shot. So next year, Coach Odom, you heard it. You get back to that position, try to kick the door into the championship. You know, and yesterday a lot of people were talking about, well, where does Southern stand at? How do they feel? There's nowhere to feel, but you've got to press on. Yep. You've got to press on. But I think as a leader of the program, you look at things, you evaluate everything, exit interviews, and then you get ready. But it's a year-round program, that football. Yeah. So I think they just got to look at some things and try to get better. Things that are not working, you take them out. You add on to that?
Man, well, look, we're all frustrated, and I think for me, I got even more frustrated yesterday because I was hearing that from people who, saw our gear and you got frustrated all over again about, man, just how close that we were. But the biggest thing is now you got to get back, and once you get there, man, you got to make sure that you kick the door all the way in. It'll be amazing how different we feel if we had maintained the same position in the game that we had with 5 minutes and 25 seconds left. That's how much time, that's how close we were to being here. And, only 4 or 5 plays. And there was 2 plays that made the biggest difference.
You see Alcorn, they got the gold. Those are the shiny gold helmets. Watch out there. They're tough in those helmets.
Yeah.
Could that be a sign that they're ready to? And you think about Alcorn fans. I've talked to some. They're back at redemption this year. They were in the same position last year. They felt like they were that close. What happens? What happens if they don't? What happens if they're not successful today? Will there be some frustration? I think that's fans' nature, but hey, it's better to get here.
Yeah, because if you've got here, that means that you've taken care of goal number 1, and that's to win your conference. You would like to have an HBCU football national championship, but those SWAC championships still feel pretty good, don't they?
Oh, yeah, and you have certain fan bases. They're just starving for it.
Yeah,
they're really starving for it. We're going to take our final timeout of today's show here at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Seats 71,000. Alcorn State is on the field now. Their pregame warm-ups. They're going to be in all gold. Gold helmets, gold shirt, gold pants with purple trims, purple numbers. Why can I can see Alcorn numbers very well from here. Yeah. Very, very well. Some I have problems seeing in the conference, but we'll talk about that at another time. And North Carolina A&T looks like they're going to be in there all blue. Blue helmets, blue shirts, blue pants.
Well, they're going gray jerseys.
Gray jerseys?
Yeah, gray jerseys.
Wow. They've got to be different, don't
First time that they've worn that combination this year.
Oh, my goodness. Another first. Wow. It's going to be interesting. We'll be back, folks, after this quick timeout. You're listening to the Carlos Brown Show on the Open Mic Broadcast Network and Spreaker.com.
Serving the community through faith and athletics. The Open Mic Broadcast Network.
After my first car accident, I feared the biggest damage would be to my wallet. I expected a mountain of bills and a long, drawn-out process. But my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent was there when I needed her and helped me get back on my feet and in my car in no time. Instead of a hassle, I got reassurance and a quick recovery.
Call Agent Jeremy West at 936-931-3696 to see if you qualify to save up to 40% off your auto insurance.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
This is Al Wash with ALW Entertainment, the promoter of the State Fair Classic, and I want y'all to keep your dial because I listen to the Open Mic Network every day. Keep the dial locked in.
Welcome back to the Carlos Brown Show, heard exclusively right here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network and Spreaker.com. We're broadcasting live from Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia, site of the Celebration Bowl, the 5th annual Celebration Bowl, and it's starting to get loud in here now. The teams are warming up on the field. North Carolina A&T band is in the stands, and the drums are doing what they're supposed to be, just making some noise. Along with Brandon B.J. Jones, as I look to my left, I see Alcorn State band is in. So this game is going to be an exciting game. I'll make one correction. Thanks to BJ's younger eyes, North Carolina A&T is going to have on the gray jerseys. Yeah, I see it in the blue helmet, so I got that part right, at least. As the old folks used to say, like my grandmother, keep living. Keep living. Things change for you a little bit. But Alcorn State and North Carolina A&T. North Carolina A&T 8-3, overall 6-2 in the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference. Alcorn State 9-3 overall, 6-1 in the Southwestern Athletic Conference. Sam Washington, Coach Washington, in the press conference yesterday, I think he was a little bit raw himself. I didn't know the two guys. One guy was asking the question, but they're from Jacksonville, Florida. So there is a kind of, I guess, a FAMU North Carolina A&T game, and tape was made after the game. But if you look at it, FAMU was eligible.
They would be here.
They would be here.
Yep.
And then you got a totally different makeup. Then you look at Coach Willie Simmons, used to be employed at Alcorn State, offensive coordinator and what have you, under Jay Hobson. So it would have changed the game's makeup.
Changed it a lot.
Yeah.
And what I've learned over the last, maybe really last year or two, is that FAMU and North Carolina A&T, they really don't like each other. That rivalry is turning into what it used to be in the 90s. Yeah, it's turning into that type of rivalry. And oh well, look out! Here comes South Carolina State, who they have a nice rivalry with both of those schools as well. So those three next year, if you look at what A&T has coming back, you look at what South Carolina State has coming back in FAMU, they might be duking it out to get here next year.
And then this game will be over with, but then it'll be you'll look at the SWAC-MEAC Challenge. Now, from what we've been able to gather, who's playing in 2020 here in the SWAC-MEAC
South Carolina
Challenge?
State and Grambling.
Okay. So that's next year.
It's next year.
Okay. I heard Alcorn State and North Carolina Central was going to play, and then I also heard Southern and A&T was scheduled for 2022, but maybe it's 2023.
Yeah, it's I know they rolled out some of them. Hopefully we might get something official today. I know usually they'll show the upcoming SWAC-MEAC Challenge up on the overhead at some point during the game. So hopefully we get that cleared away, and looks like it's going to be some exciting games in that SWAC-MEAC Challenge.
Yeah, because Alcorn State participated in that with Bethune-Cookman, but then the weather just kind of cost that ball game. So it'll be some opportunities for the Southwestern Athletic Conference to get some victories. They need some in this series.
We need them bad, man. If you look at the overall SWAC versus MEAC record since 1999, it's not good. It's I think we're hitting at about 37%. It's bad.
Not good at all. And of course, there's been some talk now about the FCS playoffs and participating in that. I'll say the same thing as I said last week. That's another story for another time.
Yeah.
I have my views on that. Maybe different than some people, but there's an opportunity if you want to participate in that. There's some things you got to do.
Yeah. There's some things that you have to do. I think that I like what we have here, and I think that any conference would be envious of what we have here. There's no problem with you challenging yourself and scheduling better in the non-conference, but overall, I like what we got here. And if you can get in that large bid, by all means, get it.
Yeah. Well, we know a couple of schools that won't. Southern and Grambling.
Yeah.
They're not going to risk that. Granddad of them all. And I'll share some thoughts on it. I did 20 years ago. I still feel the same way as far as the playoffs. But I guess I want to be selfish and greedy. I want my cake and have it too. And if you have to make a choice, you know what my choice is going to be. Well, we're going to wrap it up a few minutes early, so we want to make way and get ready for this football game.
Yeah.
hopefully we've set the scene for you. North Carolina A&T and Alcorn State. I want to thank Charles Edmond and all his hospitality, as always. Dr. Michael Prince back in studio producing. Couldn't have done it without Dr. Prince. As always, want to thank Brandon B.J. Jones of HBCU Game Day. Oh, boy, getting a quick message in. Grambling, we ready next season, 2020. Thanks a lot, Damon. We'll see you in the Bayou Classic. Now, you see, I'm confident about a couple of teams. Grambling, Jackson State, but Alcorn not as confident. But we shall see. Also want to thank Boo-Boo's Barbecue and Catering. Get some in your lips, helping make this broadcast possible today. DeMarcus Miller, one of my favorite defensive tackles at Southern University of all time. Doug Williams told me once, we couldn't block. We couldn't block. Former powerlifter champion in the state of Texas, all 5'10".
There was a whole bunch of people that couldn't block DeMarcus.
Yeah.
that line is long.
Great guy. So, Boo-Boo Barbecue and Catering. Get some in your lips. Dr. Charles, want to have a closing comment? Let's see, we'll fire him up here.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it every year. I mean, to get here, to play December football says that you're doing some stuff right. And I think that says a lot, for A&T to get here, for Alcorn to get here. I mean, enjoy the ride. And I talk about this all the time with people. I'm blessed and fortunate to be here, to be a part of this. Nothing lasts forever, but enjoy the ride while you can. And, I just hope that this game going forward continues to improve. I hope we get a title sponsor that'll stick and stay. And I hope a lot of people watch the game, because without eyeballs watching this game will not be on television. And we got to keep driving. I think it's part of our responsibility, DJ Jones, yourself, Dr. Cavill, me, everyone, to reiterate, if we want to continue to see this game on ABC, and Jay Walker and company going to have the game in an hour, we got to watch this game and show the networks that we're into it. If not, in a few years it may not happen. And this is a good thing we got here. We just got to keep it going.
Well, some discussions have been kind of had over social media between mouths that, and maybe I'm slipping in my middle age now, the Southwestern Athletic Conference Championship maybe moving in the future off of the campus. That's kind of what I was being told, but you've heard something about that?
I'll say this, and I think the on-campus concept is great, but I'm biased because it's been at Alcorn for the first 2 years. They're building a brand new stadium in downtown Birmingham. They just got the contractor assigned yesterday to start immediately. They've already laid out the hill. I saw the pictures online yesterday. So I'll leave it right there. It's about, going to see, about 30,000 or so?
They had it at 45.
45?
Expandable to 55 for certain events.
The commissioner has said he is open to making this a neutral site event. We'll see. I just hope it's indoors. I had no issues with NRG Stadium. Our fans love it. I love it. Some people might have issues with it, but look, I mean, what's the temperature like outside right now? It's 40 degrees. 41 degrees with a mist. It's supposed to come down heavy by the time the game's over with.
I'm from the deep south.
Yeah.
And I'm now at an age group that, look, under 60 is cold.
Yeah.
So you have my vote on that. It could be inside, but there's some things to be watching for down the line. And so now you got to make me a promise. Don't try to convince me about getting to the championship and losing. It's better than not getting that all. You won't change my mind.
Oh, no.
Okay?
I get that. I get that.
Maybe that guy next to you can shall listen to him, because he'll probably give me some words of wisdom. Yeah, we got about a minute and a half left. Gene Barnes, how you doing, sir?
Hey, good morning, Carlos. How are you?
I'm doing fine. I must admit, I thought I was going to be here in a different capacity, but I thank God I'm here. But Alcorn gets it done again. What can you tell me to make me feel better for getting second 2 years in a row?
Well, I will say that we had to earn the right to be here, but we beat a very good and very well-prepared Southern team in the championship game to get here. What I hope now is that we can close the deal by winning the Celebration Bowl. But there's no doubt that it was, in my mind, a tough route to get here because I thought Southern played extremely well. I thought they came really real prepared. They made adjustments from the first game, the regular season game, and you could tell it. And as I said, I thought we beat a really good team, which took a lot in order to get here. And so hopefully we'll close it out.
Yep, 6 turnovers kind of did them in. But I'm pulling for the SWAC today, so that means I'm pulling for Alcorn State. I like Alcorn State, but now Jackson State, that's another story for another time. That gets my blood boiling again.
Yeah. Well, I know I'm going to make a lot of Alcornites mad, but if Jackson ever makes it to the championship game, I got to go with the SWAC, not the MEAC.
Yes. I think that is a consensus in this booth.
Yeah, I got to do that. I'm a SWAC guy.
And the A&T guys at the press conference, they were very confident, almost to a point where overconfident.
You know, it's funny you would say that. I just said that to Charles. They were really, 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 they sure themselves.
Well, borderline arrogant.
Yeah.
But that's they've earned the right.
Yeah, they've earned the right. So, in a little bit over an hour and 6 minutes, they'll get it on.
Morgan State beat them, so I don't know if they,
Well, that's funny. 2 years in a row, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that makes you wonder. And I know people will say maybe they look past and whatever. The reality of it is they lost to Morgan State. And I don't mean any disrespect to Morgan State. I'm just saying that means they beatable.
Yeah.
That's all I'm really saying. They beat them.
Well, ABC, 12:06 Eastern, 11:06 Central. It should be a good one. Thanking Dr. Michael Prince, Charles Evans, Dean Barnes, Brandon B.J. Jones, Michael Elam, and everyone who listened. Appreciate you. We'll see you next Saturday at 10 a.m. back in the friendly confines of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And until that time, at 10 a.m. to 12 noon Central Standard Time, as always, peace and God bless.